What's one thing you stopped doing that instantly made your life better? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1. Doom scrolling every moment I pick up the phone. Gone from 4 hours of daily phone use to 2 hours. Still some work to be done, but feeling much better. Story 2. Not sleeping. I used to regularly pull all-nighters. I probably spent a better part of last 2 decades constantly sleep-deprived. Fudge that. I sleep now. I don't care what urgent matters there are, and what demons are whispering in my ears. I fudge check out, even if it takes a bit of help with meds. It has improved my QOL by several orders of magnitude. Story 3. I kicked a 14-year opioid habit. I'm 2.5 years off, Edda. Holy shoot, y'all. Thank you. The support of internet strangers still amazes me. Story 4. Being around people who hurt me or don't like me. I take accountability if I've hurt a person or done something cruel or insulting, etc. But if a person says mean things about the way I look, talk, dress, etc., that's a bully. I stopped talking to my family because they wouldn't stop picking apart the way my son looked constantly. He was loved, clean, and happy. That's all that matters. Life is too short to surround yourself with haters. Surround yourself with love. Story 5. I quit worrying about my neighbors seeing me embarrass myself while I work on my garden in the front yard. Answer. The other day, my titty popped out while I was picking up my dog's poo off a neighbor's lawn, and of course, the neighbor was outside. I just popped her back in my tank top and kept on walking. 5 years ago, I would have apologized or at least tried to figure out if they saw. Now, I don't care. It's just a titty, and I've learned to pull my tank top up first from now on. Story 6. Not saving money. Once I get my salary take away 1K of my currency and split it into 2 accounts. One for long-term savings, one for emergency savings. Seeing the amount grow over time and seeing that I have backup money really soothes my heart. Story 7. Smoking, heavy drinking, staying up late, overeating, not exercising. It's been an absolutely insane year. Story 8. I stopped seeking joy from getting validated by others. My joy is my own. It's personal and all mine. Story 9. I stopped lying to myself. I accepted that there are things about me that had to be changed. I accepted the fact that I believed some things that were doing me harm. I accepted that fact that I had made mistakes. I can't explain the relief of being able to look at myself in the mirror and say, you fudge up bad, but you can learn from your mistakes and move on and try not to fudge up anymore. You're not perfect, and that's cool. Just try to be better going forward. Story 10. Drinking. Late teens and all of my 20s, I drank with relative zero consequences. 30s too, until I hit 34. And the hangover started to hit harder and last longer. Last time I drank, I was sick for 3 days, and work was an absolute nut drag on a bed of nails. That told me it was time to kick the booze. Story 11. Smoking plant substance and drinking. Turns out what I thought was making me happier was driving me deeper into depression and exacerbating mental illness. Who knew? 600 days clean today. Story 12. Cutting off a toxic relative and trying to explain why to people who didn't understand. I just let them eventually see for themselves why I did. Story 13. This is going to sound crazy because the circumstances, and it wasn't even me that did it. 3.5 years ago, I got diagnosed with cancer. A week later, my wife, who I had taken care of through multiple surgeries and always provided for her for 13 years, decided that she could not do this with me and could not go through it with me. So she left. Fast forward 1.5 years later, and I'm in remission. And I went through all the pain of everything I was going through, and then I recently had it come back again. And I've been in remission again for almost 6 months now. And I realized 1,000 my life was easier without her. And despite the cancer diagnosis and all the suffering that came with that, and the crazy part is currently I am more happy, I have more peace in my life, and I am even more financially stable now, despite the fact that I'm a ticking time bomb of cancer that could come back at any time. Because the kind that I have is treatable, but not curable. That's why I say it sounds all crazy. But one simple diagnosis changed the course of my entire life. And then by her taking that action, I ended up being happier without her in the end. Because I do not tolerate people who do what she did. What she did was worse than cheating. And I don't need that kind of dead weight in my life. Story 14. I stopped holding in my anger and blowing up at random times now. I just express what I'm angry about instead of invalidate the feeling instead of suppressing it, shoving it down, and slowly turning it into resentment. Story 15. Smoking plant substance. I think people underestimate how much it kind of dumbs you down a little. Was hard to admit at first for sure. Story 16. I stopped trying to please everybody. I'm not fully out of that type of behavior, but I'm doing better than I was before. Story 17. Sober for 2 years and counting. Went no contact with my toxic family. That's 2, but both made my life significantly better. Story 18. Cut off my birth mother. Manipulative, insane, narcissistic, undiagnosed mental issues for sure. And asked my stepmother to officially adopt me. I'm older, but I've never felt at such peace. Blood doesn't matter when you know your true family. I asked her before Mother's Day, and it was up there with childbirth as one of my most nervous moments in life. But she said yes, and we are going to pick a day once things settle down to do it. I'm older, so I know people are like, why? What's the point? But they just don't get it. And honestly, I don't care much whether they do or don't because she is my mom. Story 19. Going to bed with wet hair, I make the effort to dry and straighten my hair after every shower, and it might seem like a small thing, but the comments I get about my hair looking healthier has boosted my self-worth and mental health. Story 20. Trying to manage other people's happiness. I'm an adult. The people around me are adults. It is their job to tell me if they're upset, not my job to sense their mood changes and react before they get mad. They're grown jerk adults. They can speak up if they're upset. Story 21. Deleted the majority of social media. Reddit is the only thing I use, and that's just to really stay up to date on sports. You do get some very strange looks from women, though, when they ask for a handle and you're just like, I don't exist on the internet, LOL. Story 22. Stop talking to and cut out negative people from my life. Holy hell, what a difference. They were dragging me down. Story 23. I left my wife. I convinced myself I was stuck in the life I was in and just living out the actions of every day like a robot. Now I feel so alive and free. It's amazing how we forget we have free will sometimes. Story 24. Drinking adult beverage. 1,500 days later, and I'm married with a kid, a better job, and closing on a house. Story 25. I stopped arguing and fighting for people's attention. I walk away when I need to and learn to see signs of manipulation and toxicity. I also learn to communicate and compromise to understand others for stronger, healthier relationships. Story 26. I stopped caring about whether people like me and starting evaluating whether I like a person set of people. Story 27. Quit wearing makeup, doing my hair all nice, painting my nails, or matching all my clothes, shoes, accessories when going out for errands, family gatherings, or meeting up with close friends just for lunch. A night out, a date, or a party, absolutely, but daily not worth trouble to me. Story 28. Starting up with mine, I stopped checking my phone first thing in the morning. Now I only spiral after breakfast. Story 29. Going to church, I grew up extremely religious. As a kid, I was confused and appalled. Adults watch television. Why the heck would you do that when the literal word of God is right in front of you? But had a big turnoff when I left a verbally, emotionally abusive relationship, and despite my church being concerned about how I was treated, shunned me entirely because divorce is wrong. Lost most of my friends and all of my social supports in the process. All I can say is, the further you get from evangelical circles after being in them your whole life, the more you realize all the normal stuff you experienced is really, really weird and unhealthy. Answer, congratulations. Ever notice how geography and family seems to be the greatest determinant of which imaginary friend people believe in? What does that tell you? In 2025, with all the information in the world available to us at the click of a button, let's do away with Bronze Age mythology and superstition and embrace logic and reason. Here are some resources to help you on your journey. Freedom from Religion Foundation, Recovering from Religion Foundation, Secular Therapy Project, American Humanist Association. Story 30. I stopped giving a single fudge about what anyone thinks of how I live my life. I am not hurting anyone with my diversity positive message and hippie attitude. I work, come home, love my wife partner, and make our little home oasis by the highway or better each day. One Farm Fam. Story 31. Chasing after people when they won't communicate or trying to intuit anticipate their feelings. A lot of people, especially those with trauma, do it and it burns us TF out. I finally had to decide that other people's feelings are not my problem unless they communicate them. I can't wait my entire life waiting for the shoe to drop. Story 32. I deleted my FB account 5 years ago, and a couple others that I occasionally used. It's freeing, and now I feel like when I meet up chat with friends, we don't already know what's fully going on in each other's lives because we already read about it this morning. I don't know, I guess one reason was just that I missed hearing about things directly from a friend, in person, instead of reading about it like it's just today's news and tomorrow it's forgettable, you know? Story 33. Video games. I haven't played since Christmas. I used to play so late into the night that I would be too tired to go to the gym in the morning. Now that I stopped, I don't skip gym days. I've since lost 40 wallers of pure fat and gained some muscle. My house is neater too, since I replace video games with cleaning or doing things in the house I put off for years. Do it. Quit video games. I've been a gamer my whole life. It's a time suck. It's a waste. I don't care if you think you deserve it. What we deserve isn't always what we need. Best decision of my life. It makes not being a fat slob loser much easier. Story 34. Putting up with narcissistic behavior. Now I spot it quick and walk away faster. Total game changer. Story 35. Putting pretty much everything off until tomorrow. Just feels so much happier now to get things done right away instead of constantly living in regret of not doing what I actually want to do today. Story 36. Reacting to others' BS. Once I stopped trying to prove anything and give about others' perspective, my life became so much better. Story 37. I stopped expecting from people what I would do myself in different situations. I'm not disappointed anymore. Story 38. Smoking pot. Not to be narcy, but honestly, my mood's improved. I was less dopey, better mental clarity and decision-making, and more money in my pocket. Plant substance is great for the experience, but it shouldn't be a lifestyle unless you're independently wealthy. Story 39. Stop caring about what mean girls think. You know, like the women who dislike you instantly and before ever even talking to you. Story 40. I got rid of all of my marketing email subscriptions and am actively trying to stay off of Amazon and Instagram. Granted, it's only been a month, but I will soon have an extra grand in the bank. I wasn't dropping all that on stupid crap, but I'm easily susceptible. Story 41. Stopped putting effort into friendships that weren't reciprocating that effort and paying for everything all the time for said friends. Story 42. Saying yes to everything. I still say yes to most things, but I keep to myself much more so as not to put myself in the situation. Story 43. I gave up trying to make friends by force. I wasn't inconvenient, but I was very humiliated. Now I let whatever happens happen. Story 44. Stop trying TP Slay the Dragon alone. PTSD from Vietnam. Found a therapist who specialized in wartime experiences. I have come to terms with that part of my life now and do my best to look to the future and leave the past in the past. The dragon is still there, but we coexist in peace now. Story 45. I stopped shutting my mouth on politics and values to keep the peace. It's a very effective way to rid your life of people who just don't care about others. I've met a lot of great people because of that. Shared values create community, and values are absolutely political. But immigrants, goodbye. The illegals, goodbye. Trans people, goodbye. The gays, goodbye. Women shouldn't, goodbye. I have faith in Trump, goodbye. Story 46. Drinking soda. Jesus Christ, did I lose weight? And it stopped basically eliminate me. Can't say the same for my family though. They still down entire 2 liters every day. Story 47. Working at a company that paid people crap, treated people like crap, and celebrated purging people every year. Story 48. Trying to force myself to like things I don't and do things I don't want to do, and assigning arbitrary morality to things that don't matter, all in the name of self-improvement and self-discipline. Not saying I gave up working on myself, but I've started questioning what benefits really come from the work I'm putting in. And is it worth it? Story 49. I quit nicotine. It's pain in the jerk when your PO crents don't allow you to smoke and you come home smelling like cigs every day and they don't like it. Story 50. Smoking. I don't smell like an ashtray. I don't need to have a smoke break every hour. My breathing is much better than it was when I quit 17 years ago. And I'm not literally burning money. Story 51. Removing toxic people in my life. Surrounding yourself with people who want to see you succeed instead of failing. Story 52. Smoking plant substance. I have been smoking plant substance for well over 30 years as I reached my 40s. I quit drinking, then I quit smoking, cigarettes, but I just couldn't quit smoking plant substance. This went on for 4 years. I am now 46 and have been off plant substance for a year. I'm totally sober from everything. I don't even take coffee or tea because of the caffeine, and I am at the fittest and healthiest I have ever been in my life. It took me a while to realize I was using all those things as a crutch, and none of it was bringing me any kind of pleasure, just giving me anxiety instead. My headspace has never felt so clear as it does now, and I'm glad for it, and just have no desire to touch plant substance again. I smell it a lot around where I live. And I don't miss it at all. It just made me into an idiot zombie, making me think I was enjoying activities in daily life, when in reality I wasn't. I'm much better for it and enjoying things way better now. Story 53. Was constantly clenching and grinding my teeth like mad. Caused insane headaches. Got an at-home night guard, and I rarely ever have them anymore. Story 54. Drinking a fifth of vodka every 2 days. No, in all seriousness, getting sober literally changed my entire life. I was headed towards a pretty dark and low place at 25, and thankfully I was able to get into a rehab and get sober. It's been over a year now, 516 days to be exact, and I am so much more connected to myself and every single person in my life. Story 55. Going to church. It gave me a 10 raise weeknights and weekends to myself, and zero guilt about what I can do and cannot do. I also found out that I don't need religion to feel good about myself and other people. Story 56. Self-harm. I stopped over a year ago, 6 and I've been a lot better since. I learned it wasn't for self-punishment, like a lot of people do, but rather an intense pain stem. I'm looking into getting specially made fidget toys to do it more healthily. Story 57. I stopped having intimacy. As someone who has been very intimacy-focused since childhood, it's a huge relief to be in my celibacy era. Intimacy discipline allows me to decenter men and focus on myself. Story 58. On 1. Stop eating junk food, stop eating fast food, suffer drinks, soda, commercially processed food, overall any unhealthy food, eat more vegetables and home-cooked, freshly cooked food. 2. I immediately cut off toxic people. 3. Don't pressure myself to respond to anything social media. 4. When I notice myself doom scrolling on SOCMED, I call myself out verbally and then manage to stop or close my phone screen. 5. When I notice I'm already stressed or about to be, I'd immediately stop myself and chill. No questions asked. 6. Practice saying no more. Story 59. Stop drinking soda. I now only really drink water. Did wonders getting rid of all that sugar and other stuff. Story 60. Always thinking in worst case scenario. I am a planner by nature, and I didn't change that. I just realized that I can be ready, but not always scared. Story 61. Quit smoking cigarettes. Within 2 weeks, I could walk up a flight of stairs. My first cold after quitting came and went. No lingering cough with a cold for days weeks. Story 62. Cocaine. It's not even a joke. I was lucky and managed to stop on my own. It took a while, I won't deny it. 2 years using it and almost 4 years sober now. Today I can make jokes, talk freely about it, and I don't have any kind of craving to use it. But sometimes I still catch myself thinking, and to be honest, not believing that I got out of it. Story 63. I finally stopped worrying about what others think of me. It was truly life-changing and oh so liberating. Story 64. I stopped using should and replaced it with want or need. If I don't want or need to do something, I simply don't do it. Story 65. Drinking lots of Mountain Dew, switched to making my own drinks with a soda stream, saved thousands of dollars since the price of MD has tripled in price from when I was buying it. Story 66. Talking to people who voted for the guy who failed to tell his supporters to stop assaulting police. Story 67. I stopped drinking adult beverage 3 years ago. Life isn't perfect, but I feel amazing most days and have much less anxiety than ever before. Having a clear head to manage stress and life's inevitable BS is also a huge plus. 10/10 recommend. Story 68. Avoiding color in my home decor, wardrobe, phone case, dog accessories, creative outlets, dishes, you name it. For too long, I leaned heavily into the neutrals, and it feels so nice to have some exciting color and bold patterns in my life. Neutrals definitely have their place, and I love earthy colors. But bright colors are natural too. I bought eyeglasses with green frames, my favorite color. Had our front door painted orange. Painted my daughter's bed frame Crocodile Dreams green, and a corner hutch a golden yellow with a bold wallpaper inside, to name a few examples. Story 69. I stopped trying to win people over. I decide in a very brief window whether or not I'd like to interact with someone further. I can get along well with most people if they try. Most don't even want to try though. Story 70. I stopped responding to my boss texts while off the clock. This digital age has blurred work boundaries, and my boss would light my phone up, and my work stress would follow me home and extend through the weekend. Now that I ignore them, I can actually rest. Story 71. Went no contact with my shoot jerk parents, and life has never been so good. Narc mother who slut shamed and competed with me since I was a young girl paired with emotionally unavailable, tipsy driving, animal-abusing father. Match made in heaven. Story 72. Drinking coffee as a first drink of day. Since I replaced it with 0.5 L of 45C water, I have much more energy. Story 73. I stopped sleeping on a mattress that had an indent in it. My back hurt all the time, and I just thought it was because my muscles were super weak. I've had some surgeries. But as soon as I made my first adult purchase and got a new mattress, I felt so much better. Story 74. Taping my mouth shut when I sleep. I snore and have sleep apnea, but the mouth taping almost totally eliminates that. Now I can sleep the whole night through, and it even helps with late night pee breaks. Yes, I am a middle-aged man. Big change for the better. Story 75. Smoking. Gave up on my 40th birthday. The same day I went to hospital with viral pneumonia and nearly died. 40 a day to nil in one hit. Have been 100 healthier ever since. Story 76. Smoking is the number one thing on that list for me. Cutting out the reply-only people from my life. The people who never get in touch first but will reply when messaged. If they aren't thinking of me, I am just wasting my time contacting them. Story 77. Left my home country. I was offered an apprenticeship once in Germany because one of my friends got one and asked me if I wanted to go too. Unfortunately, I thought I was in love with my, at the time, girlfriend, so I refused. Honestly, biggest mistake of my life? We broke up not long after, and my life was in a hole for a long time. Then a job arose in Greece, not a huge paying job, but just above average, and I get to travel a lot. I decided to take it 5 years later, and looking back at life, I am thankful every day I took it. Story 78. Worrying if people like me. Of course, it isn't something you can just switch off, but I've become much better at it. Now, when I start to get anxious that someone doesn't like me or is mad at me, etc., I stop and take a beat. I try to reflect. Am I just being in my own head? Are they going through something themselves? Do I even like them? And most importantly, does it actually matter? I try my best to be a good, kind, and thoughtful person. I at least know for sure I'm not a nasty person. So if someone doesn't like me just because they don't vibe with me, then that's actually okay. But I'm always open to suggestions on how to actually put this into practice. Story 79. I got rid of all social media except Reddit, and I limit my time on here to maybe 10 minutes a day. Also, I quit watching 24HR news. That's nothing but propaganda and will rot your brain. Story 80. Drinking sugary soft drinks. I still pound too many sweets, but cutting the drinks stopped my weight gain. Story 81. Drinking pop, soda. I used to work in a restaurant. Free fountain pop obs. I drink like 8 in a 10-hour shift. Was never large but unhealthy. Stopped cold turkey and just drink water 99 of the time now. I sleep better and I've lost a stubborn 10 lbs in my belly I always dislike. Story 82. Forcing myself to regularly socialize in group settings where I felt the need to mask heavily or in environments that were overstimulating to me. I no longer go to bars or movie theaters. Rarely eat out at restaurants and order takeout instead. And I skip parties where drinking or small talk is the main event. I even turn down wedding invitations sometimes. I save my energy for more authentic interactions, and I learned how to enjoy time with just myself and my dog again. Sometimes I have FOMO, but then I remember that I was usually disassociating half the time in those environments anyway. I'm so much more regulated and grounded. My social circle is indeed shrinking, but I'm finding I'd rather have a handful of close friends than be lost in a sea of people I feel unable to connect with. Story 83. Downgraded to a flip phone. Text and calls only. I refuse to install any apps for any business or healthcare provider. I do business via phone calls and websites from my laptop, at times of my own choosing. Celebrities and billionaires are not accessible 247 to any entity that wants their attention. Neither am I. Story 84. Taking my phone first thing in the morning. Also having analog alarm clock in analog notes to start a day with. That helped. Story 85. Working. Probably should have kept at it for another couple of years. And money may get tight if we live beyond the average. But my mental health is so much better and I can spend as much time as I want with my grown children and 3-year-old grandson. Money can't replace that. Story 86. I used to react defensive to almost everything. But I realized later not every question is an accusation. Story 87. I stopped saying yes to things just because I was afraid to disappoint others. Saying no gave me my time and sanity back. Story 88. Stop feeling sorry for myself. I realized that I'm on my own, whether I like it or not. Once I came to that realization, so much in my life started to change. Story 89. Smoking plant substance. Had been a daily user for 20 years since age 18. A few bouts of abstinence throughout, no longer than 6 weeks. My sleep has improved. Am not snacking anymore. Am not paranoid or self-conscious anymore. It just wasn't enjoyable, only habitual, and I wasn't getting anything positive from it anymore. Vastly improved my life to just set it aside. Might partake again at some point, but I've been off plant substance for over 6 months and I feel fantastic. Story 90. Wearing uncomfortable clothes, overthinking what I wear. Literally no one cares about how you dress unless you're going somewhere fancy or you're dressed as a bum. Story 91. Stop scrolling on Reddit for 2 hours instead of going to bed on time. Oops, wait, I didn't. Let me go to bed. Story 92. Cold turkey everything. It's been 22 days. Not long, but definitely something. The first 14 days were super hard. Depression set in. Relationship felt like it was falling apart. I felt worthless. This past week has been one of the best weeks in my life, being completely sober. The sun is brighter. My smile is bigger. The overall outlook on life has changed. EDK what happened, but it happened. I finally have hope for the future. Story 93. Working crazy long hours. I used to average between 60 to 70 hours a week. Now I only work as much as I want to. Enough to do what I want when I want. Time will always be more important than money to me now, and it's amazing the change in my quality of life. Story 94. Stopped smoking plant substance. Started at 18, now I'm 38. I used to burn blunts, which used an ounce every 4 days, and vape in between those blunts. Been smoking for 20 years. Today is day 28, sober and happy. Never have I been sober past 4 days in my life. I know it's nothing compared to other substances, but very proud of myself. Story 95. Smoking. Hands down the hardest addiction to break, but it proved to me I was stronger than I thought. Story 96. Stopped shaving. Initially, it was just due to depression. Went through a bad spell. But when I started to come out of it, I looked down at my body in the shower and thought, oh God, I have to deal with this. I was learning at the time about boundaries and getting in touch with what I want instead of people pleasing. I recognized the have to thought pattern and decided I ain't have to do shoot I don't want to do. It turned out to be a vehicle to learning to love my body exactly as it is, and I feel more beautiful now than I ever have in my life, while simultaneously not giving a fudge about my appearance or beauty standards. It's great. Story 97. I stopped living in a city where I felt very out of place among the people. I moved to a big city I'd always wanted to live in, but that people would try to talk me out of because the cost of living is too expensive, the traffic, etc., aka big city things. I even never looked back, not one time. Big picture, this is the exact moment I learned to trust myself instead of listening to what other people thought. Story 98. Cutting out negative influences, whether it's substances, online toxicity, or toxic people, really does free up so much mental space for better things. Story 99. I started asking myself and my partner what the best part of the day was for me and them. I've since started getting up and thinking, I wonder what the best part of my day will be. And it's a much nicer way to wake up. Story 100. Got off social media, FB, IG, SC, TikTok, even LinkedIn. Couldn't part with Reddit or YouTube though. Story 101. Let them. Tied with healthy boundaries. Life changing. No, I do not have to expose my kids to substances and toxic family for 3 days of a family gathering. We will still be family if we choose to stay home for the first and worst night of it. We will all be better people. Yes, I can stand up to my toxic mom who called my kid obese to his face. No, we don't have to go no contact. Unnecessary. Everyone knows how she is and she will never change. Now her grandkids even get it. Keeping the relationship open allows me to demonstrate how to respond to difficult people and maintain healthy boundaries. It also opens up great conversations. My kids are learning how to deal with difficult people from a young age using Carnegie methods. The let them theory is life-changing. Story 102. Turning off news notifications, doom scrolling, and reading Reddit. For context, I went away with work and was quite anxious with all this Iran stuff going on. Decided to turn everything off, and it was brilliant. Was in the EOMO, more present, just enjoying the time I was there. Reminded me of being a kid without the internet and mass negativity. Didn't even know about Iran hitting back at a base in Qatar. Just like I didn't know about half the stuff going on 30 years ago. And here we are. Story 103. Drinking adult beverage. Over 3 years without it. Currently very fit, very healthy. People think I'm in my 20s. I'm 34. Feels great to never be hungover and perpetually thinking, when am I going to get my shoot together? Story 104. Maintained a caloric deficit and lost 10 lbs in 2 months. Found that losing weight is just that simple. Story 105. Treating every disagreement on the internet like a debate I had to win. I just started letting it go. My blood pressure thanks me, and some guy named MegaChad69 is still wrong about Star Wars, but now it's his problem, not mine. Story 106. I deleted all social media, apart from this one OBVs, 3 years and still going strong. I read more. I game more. I watch more TV and films. And I actually have things to talk about with my friends when I see them, because I have no idea what's been going on with them via their social media. Story 107. Drinking adult beverage like a sailor on shore, leave every night. 7 years ago today. Best years in a long time. Story 108. Drinking 37 years ago. Met husband then, who had also just stopped drinking. Changed our lives completely and for the better. Best decision I ever made. Story 109. Entertaining trash men. Have the best man in my life now. Kind, thoughtful, calm, peaceful, life-changing. Story 110. Self-deprecating humor. Instead, I tried exaggeratedly talking about how awesome I was for comedic effect. You get the same laugh, but much like putting yourself down, it does have an effect on how you think about yourself. Story 111. Stop drinking adult beverage. Just do it. Sucks in the short term, maybe, but it's all upside. And eating anything pre-made, within reason, not ordering either. Just stop that. Only bought things I would actually have to cook. See that weight fly off when you don't even have a Snickers in the house. No fridge to graze on. Every meal a conscious decision. Story 112. Drinking. I had a pretty serious problem with it when I was overseas in the military. I came home 35 years ago and got tipsy 3 times in the first month. I finally asked myself if I wanted to live the rest of my life like that, and the answer was no. I went totally without any drinking for 10 years, then started having the occasional beer in social settings. Like, literally 1 beer. Today I seem to be a 3-drink guy. My limit in any year is 3 drinks. Some years I don't even have 1. I have a bottle of whiskey that is 6 years old, and it's not even half gone. I don't even want to think about what my life would be like if I had stayed in the cycle of getting tipsy every week or 2. Story 113. Gave myself several years to heal and learn to love myself completely single. Ditching all people who don't serve me in any way, purpose, or form only bring negativity into my bubble. I've never been happier. Story 114. Deactivated Blue app years ago after unfriending all relatives lol, and now logged out all my sins, muted PMS and just busied myself watching movies, series, reading books. Never felt this peace ever. Story 115. Talking to others and limiting my social media use. As an introvert, eliminating parasocial relationships actually gave me the motivation and energy for IRL ones. Story 116. Took off my bra and never put it back on. Best thing I ever did. If women can show a full side boob, if they can wear yoga pants so the world can see all that lip, jerk, and cheese, I can go braless. A 36D, gone forever. Story 117. Giving a shoot what other people thought of me. So many partied too hard years trying to please people that really don't matter at all. Story 118. Blaming others. I only have control over my actions. And so when I started getting frustrated with a situation, I thought about what I can do from here to get the outcomes want. I felt lighter once I stopped wasting energy on blaming. Story 119. Remove the Facebook app from my phone. My phone battery lasts much longer and I don't scroll that hell site every day. Story 120. Thinking that people care. So much of life is assuming people care about what you're doing. They don't. No one even thinks of you. They're just going about their day. If you fall down the stairs, no one cares. If you misspeak, no one cares. Just live your life. Story 121. Cut contact with my whole family. No phone calls, no visits, no nothing. The nightmares I had since childhood immediately disappeared. My mental health is so much better. Story 122. Not instantly, but drinking. I quit cold turkey and the withdrawal was so bad I had a seizure. So if you're a heavy drinker reading this, don't be like me. Don't think you can just quit whenever I want. And don't try to do it all by yourself. Don't be ashamed to talk to people about it. I was lucky. If it weren't for my friends, I would likely not be here writing this. I have them to thank for having a whole new life to live, one that doesn't revolve around the next drink. To anyone trying to quit or is thinking about it, You can do it. The struggle is real and it will be tough, but it will be so worth it. Good luck and may us all live our best lives. Story 123. Smoking cigarettes. Found out I have COPD and quit the same day. I can mostly breathe again and it's wonderful. Story 124. Laying in until the very last minute before work. Having a morning makes the day so much more enjoyable. Story 125. Eating mayonnaise and ketchup. One is fat, one is sugar. I just put spices on my homemade sweet potato fries now and they are delicious. Story 126. Smoking plant substance. I was in a toxic relationship. I was in jerk. She was in jerk. Haven't had an issue with my current partner. Some PPL are just not meant to be together, but God did I love her. Story 127. Stop thinking I had to be the best at everything. Stop thinking my worth depended on how other people perceived me. Story 128. I quit drinking after blacking out almost every night for the last 13 years. Almost to 10 months was the best 30th birthday gift I could have given myself. Answer, great work. I stopped drinking just over 10 months ago. Overall, it's much, much better. I have less anxiety. I sleep better most nights. I lost weight and kept it off despite how much I eat. No hangovers. No fear of, what did I say last night? No missed TV shows or movies. I was able to handle some pretty big life changes and stressful situations. I ended toxic relationships, started a new job, mourned the loss of a family member, celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. It was hard for a long time. Sometimes it still is. Think vacations, parties, and special occasions, but it's been worth it. I have no idea if I will drink again. Sometimes I know I will. If I break it down and I think of ending my streak, the desire goes away. I wasn't a blackout drinker. I never drove while drinking. My SO wasn't embarrassed to be seen with me. But after this much reflection, I know I used it for the wrong reasons. It wasn't a glass here or there situation. I would drink to get buzzed and stay there whether I was happy, sad, stressed, tired. There was always a reason I deserved wine. I won't ever regret not drinking though, so I continue to not. I'm less than 2 months away from 1 year sans booze. It's going to be a huge accomplishment, a big special occasion. I guess I have to think of a way to celebrate without wine. Story 129. I'm eating a bowl of granola, nuts, and fruit every morning. A week later, and my body finally learned how to shoot properly. Incredible. Story 130. Quit smoking plant substance. Started addressing my mental illness instead of masking it. I am still a work in progress, but I actually look forward to every day now. Answer, that's fascinating. Starting plant substance had a huge positive impact on my life, helping me to become functional through my anxiety and depression. But I also have to moderate it, going too far, and I'm back to square one. I'm not one of those plant substance will help everyone types. I'm glad quitting helped you to get where you're at. I'm just always interested in how it can help some people, but be a detriment to others. Story 131. Small, but I started setting a bedtime alarm. I have a really bad sense of time, so I used to keep saying one more mission in a game, or one more video, or one more chapter, and I'd go to bed at 1 a.m. This was not good for me as I need minimum 8 HRs. So I started setting an alarm 15 before bedtime to get ready and then 1 to be in bed. Now I rarely use it because I have my sleep schedule under control. Story 132. I started running. I totally fell in love with the sport, and now I can hardly stand to take a day off. X or X200B, NBSP, X200. 3 years later, I've got basically unlimited energy in my daily life. A good-looking body. I've met a bunch of cool friends through the sport. It's a hobby people find interesting, impressive, and best of all, I get to run away from all the bullshit of life and spend hours of quiet and meditation sweating my stress away in the woods and mountains. Answer, pardon my ignorance, but I have a question. I've never been a big runner in my life. I've managed to stay in shape with martial arts, so I understand the sense of community through sport. My question is, how does this work with running? Do you just meet people out while jogging? Do you join a running group? I literally dislike running, but I've been forcing myself to do it 3 times a week so far, and it's growing on me a little bit. I like to get to the point where I love it like others do, but mainly I just jog by myself in my neighborhood and feel like everyone's staring at me because I run funny. Story 133. Decided to shape my life into one I actually wanted and not just settle for mediocrity and being miserable. Reached out to old professional connections, got an awesome new job, quit my old, unfulfilling, actively awful job, moved all my shoot from my apartment into storage, drove my car to my parents' house so they could look after it when I left the country, and started traveling the world full-time while working remotely. Absolutely love every second of my life now. Fudge doing stuff that makes you miserable. Story 134. If I'm in a room and an item belongs in a different room, I take it there immediately. This continues as I go into each room. One walk around the house and it is clean. Story 135. When I finally understood making a mistake isn't a character flaw. For a long time I tried to avoid mistakes, and it only made me extremely anxious because I had to check everything I did at least 3 times. Learning to say no also helped me improve my life. It has saved me from a lot of uncomfortable situations I used to get into because saying anything wasn't in my vocabulary. Answer. When I was growing up, both my parents had a habit of exaggerating when they were telling us the consequences of any given action. Even when we were middle school age, we were taught that one late payment on a bill would potentially destroy our finances. An example. For the longest time, I thought mistakes were permanent fixtures where the consequences carried with us for life. That made me extremely risk-averse in high school, college, and my 20s. I have some deep regrets as a result and wish it didn't take me until I was 30 to shake off that thinking. Story 136. I got serious about health and fitness. Shortly after getting married, I had gained a bunch of weight and was feeling really down on myself. I knew I had to make a change. After a month or 2 of clean eating and a regular exercise routine, I started to feel tanks better. 6 months later, I realized I was able to do things I never thought I'd be able to do: pull-ups, heavy weightlifting, long-distance runs. From that point on, I had the motivation to keep up the routine and keep improving. 5 years later, I have no aspirations of competing in any fitness competitions. I do it to be healthy and to be an active participant in my kids' lives for as long as possible. In that time, I've taken what I've learned and started to create nutrition and fitness plans for friends and coworkers. I find that I really enjoy teaching and helping people improve themselves. X200B. Answer. Do you have any tips for an absolute beginner? I've never got on with sport and get bored running. Used to cycle, but I've had too many bikes stolen. I'm signing up to the local gym pool this week and bought a pair of trainers yesterday. How much should I go? Do I gym until tired or push past that? What's the difference between I'll be sore tomorrow and I don't ever want to do that again? Feel like mid-workout. For context, I'm 6'2" and 250 lb. I'd like to lose weight, but my main motivation is to not feel so tired all the time. Story 137. I've quit drinking adult beverage and smoking, which has been very positive for many areas of my life. But to be honest, the social consequence caught me off guard a little. The consequence being that I don't really know how to be a social person outside of what became very self-destructive behaviors. All other areas of life operating at a full 57 though? Answer. I quit drinking for about 18 months, which was interesting. I also didn't see the social consequences coming in, that I realized everything was based around drinking, and I stood out by not participating, like a lot. And then people want to know why you're not drinking, etc., etc. And there's a fair amount of baggage that goes along with abstaining when no one perceived anything wrong with you. Story 138. There's 2 things I'm certain of and one that might have been an improvement. Number 1 is the 5-minute rule. If it can be done in 5 minutes, do it now. It keeps my flat cleanish, a lot more than it used to at least. Number 2 is continuing a diet. I've been overweight for the majority of my life, and my free time has been too important to me, as if I'd spend it with something I don't enjoy as much as my hobbies, which most of the time don't involve moving much. In the past few months, I've lost quite a bit of weight and am continuing to do so. I fit into clothes that I bought 4 years ago when I was in my teens. Some newer shirts are simply too big for me to wear anymore by now. It's encouraging and makes me really happy, honestly. The third, which I'm not sure of, is cutting out my father of my life. My parents have been split up from when I was little, and he's been an alcoholic that I used to visit every weekend. But it's gotten more rare the older I got. When I was 15, they got back together for a year, and I could clearly see how much of an alcoholic he really was. Actually lied to my mother that I was scared of her because she scolded me for not doing the dishes as she asked me to. When he moved out again, we asked him to change before we could consider being a real family again. He said that we'd have to change before he even considered doing so. He called me on my birthday a few months later, and after a brief chat, this is the last time I've ever heard of him. He didn't even try to contact me in between or after my birthday, so I didn't as well. I don't know if it's been an improvement in life, but it has shown me what adult beverage can do, and I tend to stay away from it. The side effect of it is that I'm disgusted by many of my family. since they're very open with adult beverage and partially addicted to it as well without realizing it? Answer: I just started doing the 5-minute rule about a month ago. Realizing that emptying the dishwasher took less time to boil water for tea or make coffee was pretty big. I was the worst at emptying that thing, and because of it, we would always end up just stacking dishes in the sink in preparation for when it was empty. Realizing how quick you can actually do things is pretty helpful in getting motivation to actually do something. Story 139. I took early retirement from teaching middle school. The stress is gone, and I wake up happy every day. Story 140. I started cutting out toxic people. The hardest was my mother because people, including family members, apparently find it inconceivable that a mother would be a bad person. Story 141. Stopped smoking cigarettes, stopped drinking soda, stopped eating some form of bread with every meal, started exercising daily, started drinking water throughout the day, started getting a good night's sleep. Pretty sure those things alone have added over a decade to my potential lifespan. Story 142. I asked for help with my depression anxiety in my early 20s. I'd been depressed with low self-esteem and anxiety since my early teens, but just figured, this is who I am. I still have issues now, mid-30s, but I have coping mechanisms and a much better understanding of what's just noise in my head and what needs real attention as a result of medication and counseling. Answer: same. At the beginning of the year, I had one of those moments where I realized that maybe I'm not an ultra introvert and maybe there is something wrong. About 3 years ago, I started working remotely after a move to a new city. I've always been able to go long periods without seeing people or leaving the house, but in this new area, I've basically become a shut-in other than the times I go out with my husband. I mentioned it to my doctor at a yearly checkup, and he referred me to a psychiatrist who got me help with a psychologist. After a session or two, we managed to really figure out my main anxieties. I started doing exposure therapy with her, and it's done wonders. Story 143. Adopt a puppy. Didn't think I could love an animal so much that I even don't care if he's farting all day right in front of me. Story 144. Dropping someone I used to love completely out of my life. To this day, I do not know if she is dead or alive. Story 145. Quit social media, except Reddit, of course. Not judging those that have FB, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and all that, but it truly made me feel anxious all the time. Felt better separating myself from all the fake nonsense. Story 146. Started waking up before 6 a.m. It's allowed me to get to work more focused, have more productive days, give me personal time in the morning to work out and eat a healthy breakfast. X200B. There's nothing better than starting your day off right to set the tone for the entire day. Story 147. Moved out from my parents' home, lived there for 27 years, and now I'm probably burning more money than I should, but at least I don't feel like a useless piece of shoot that much anymore. Story 148. Stopped hanging out with people that care more about drinking and substances than they do about anything else. Story 149. The two changes I can look back on that had the most impact were purging religion and dietary adjustments. Free from the shackles of religious slavery, I can pursue what it truly means to be spiritual. Free from the shackles of garbage food, I found what it meant to shoot well. You cannot be healthy mentally or physically unless your waste disposal units are functioning properly. Answer: 1 for ditching religious dogma. I was indoctrinated into the cult of Joseph Smith, and leaving has been hard. BC. It's a whole cultural thing, and my life was basically built upon that foundation. Oh, emotional intelligence? Had to start learning that at about 35 years old. Can't just pray my problems away. Not like that ever worked before anyway. Kudos for jumping ship. Story 150. Stopped watching the national news. Stopped using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Dropped an ultimatum on my parents of no racism, homophobia, politics near my autistic son, or be kicked out of my house. Haven't spoken to them in a few months now over this. Story 151. Consistency. I was awful with it. No one could count on me to do what I said I was going to do. I made the active choice to do and back up everything I planned or said. It's made a world of difference in life. Throw in the 5-minute rule. If it can be done in 5 minutes, just do it. Story 152. Got a watch that tracks my steps. I try and get tank each day, 6 days a week. It's helped me drop 20 this year. Story 153. Changed my attitude. Took responsibility for my actions and learned to blame myself for my own choices instead of blaming the world around me. I still need to work on relearning how to be upset and back myself up, but I'd rather be relaxed and okay with things than being so disliked that I feel like the world is against me 100 of the time. Story 154. I started trusting myself and putting myself first, not in a selfish way, and I don't know when it shifted, but I started not second-guessing myself. A lot of popular humor is self-deprecating, and I found I was doing it a lot, playing down myself, my ideas, my work. Just because growing up I wasn't the popular kid in a small town, I started speaking up, asking questions, and asserting myself. I realized I've been around for 36 years, mostly single with no spouse, kids, and I'm doing darn well for myself. There's no reason not to trust my own judgment or decisions. I took that new attitude and moved 1,200 miles away, and it's been an amazing 6 months here since. Literally the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I'm not even worried that it's too good to be true or something bad will happen. Something bad will happen, but there hasn't been anything I can't handle yet. X200B, Story 155. Stopped goofing off every night with my friends and started studying for real. Graduated with BS, got an internship, got a job, been there 12 years, making over 100K. Thank God I stopped all the fuckery. Story 156. Wasn't happy with myself at age 20. I was rude, blunt, and a social shut-in. Not the easiest combination for making friends and/or finding a romantic interest. I've read a lot of books and started to actively try to be a nicer person, and it worked. I'm 200 but by second one, decided to see for myself what Tinder was all about. Wasn't expecting anything, but found the love of my life. We've been together for 4 years and have a beautiful little daughter. Story 157. I began diluting my juice, apple, grape, cranberry. It started because I was cheap, but soon realized I preferred it. Now I'm down to 1 part juice to 4 parts water, just a bit for taste, basically. Normal juice tastes like sugar water to me now. I'm healthier and spend a little less on groceries. Story 158. Stop drinking. I am a lot more motivated to work, and my friends say that I look a lot happier now. Now I just need to convince my dad to stop. P. Story 159. Recently lost 80 lbs. Was 310 now, down to 230. I'd like to get below 200, but I've been stuck here for months. Not exercising because I dislike it, but using a nutrition app. I cut out junk food and reduced carbs. It was depressing for a while, but I feel so much better now. I sleep so much better. I don't get out of breath walking up the stairs. I also quit drinking soda a few years ago. I don't even miss it. So just trying to live an overall healthier lifestyle minus the exercise. I wish I could be one of those people that love exercising. Story 160. Started running. Results: drastic improvement in mood, drastic improvement in health, drastic improvement in confidence, drastic improvement in love life. Went from lonely, self-conscious guy with a spare tire to happy, confident guy with dream girlfriend who became dream wife. Added some lifting later to round health out better. Story 161. Get up early. My office opens at 8. I am awake at 5. Showered, shaved, and cooking breakfast by 5:30. By 6, I'm eating, watching YouTube videos, podcasts, or practicing guitar. Usually have time to do some push-ups or any online banking sort of stuff. Leave early, get to work, plan my day. By the time 8 o'clock rolls around, I feel great, am wide awake, and have done all of the important stuff so I can just autopilot through work, come home, and relax. Answer: how do you manage to motivate yourself to physically get out of bed? I leave for work at 7:50 most days and usually wake up at $7 and 7:40 just because I am incapable of getting up any earlier than I absolutely have to. I can spend the evening before prepping myself completely for waking up early, set 10 alarms, plan out my morning activities, then wake up and nope out of it instantly. All motivation and desire for change gone because bed is comfy. Story 162. Only really recently I made this change. I stopped smoking after 8 years, forced myself to the gym and cut way down on the amount of sugar I consume a day. My head feels clearer than I have ever known. Those darn stairs at work don't cause me to breathe heavily for ages. Along with this, I feel my general mood has improved. Story 163. After traveling and finding that my problems didn't exist everywhere else, I changed people, places, and things. I uprooted my mom, my sister, and myself and moved 600 miles away closer to my mom's side of the family. Sometimes when you smell shoot in the morning, afternoon, and evening, look under your shoe. If it's not, take a glimpse around you and make sure you're not in a sewer. Story 164. Switched from gin to bourbon. Gin is so emotional. Bourbon is here to warmly take you to apathy as desired. Story 100-65. This is gonna sound super fudge, but I finally euthanized my dog. She was the love of my life, and for the last year she had been getting worse and worse. She was eating less, losing a ton of weight, could not go on walks, and had weak bowels. But I kept putting it off because I knew I would be absolutely devastated. Finally, my sister came to visit and was horrified at the change, and I made an appointment. My mom came to visit and we had a vet come over and do it in my living room. It was actually a pretty easy process. She just kind of fell asleep. I was expecting to be hit with a wave of despair, but I felt a relief that she was no longer in pain, and in turn, the stress of that was off my back. It was tough to adjust for the first few weeks, but I was in a much better place than before. I suppose the lesson to take away from this is you often have to do some really difficult shoot, and it's better to walk through that pain and fear head on than avoid it. Story 166. 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 dips, 100 kettlebell rows, 100 kettlebell presses, 200 leg raises, 1 jogging every day but Sunday. Story 167. Stop getting involved with other people's drama. I started setting boundaries for what is and what is not acceptable behavior. This extended to my immediate family as well, the main source of drama in my life. Once I did that, things in my life improved enormously. But remember, if any of you out there try this, be prepared for the blowback by the people who fed off your empathy and wallet. They were pissed, and some are still pissed at me because I stopped being an enabler and a fixer, aka trying to fix other people's problems. F that. I have enough crap in my own life to fix than to take on other people's problems. Once I started doing this, I found out who my real friends were, and those were just life-sucking users. It's been a number of years now, and I have purposely surrounded myself with positive, happy, healthy people. Answer. I've recently coined a term, maybe it's been used before, of friendly users. These are people that may be nice and friendly to hang out with, but they are always subtly using the people around them. They rarely pick up a restaurant check. They usually aren't the one driving when going somewhere as a group. Even though we all have cars and try to rotate, they avoid having anything financial listed in their name, etc. Sometimes I think the friendly user isn't even aware they are using. Story 168. Stop smoking. Grew the balls to do something I always wanted to, martial arts. Stop encouraging the negative thoughts. Making goals for the week, month, year. The biggest has to be exercising. Story 169. Cut out the toxic people, even if they're family and close friends. X200B, it is incredibly hard to do, especially if you're close family, but it makes a major difference. You should not have an anxiety attached before an event because of the people there. It turned out after all of these years, I'm not a recluse or introverted. I'm actually pretty outgoing. It was just the people I was around. Story 170. When an introvert like me makes an effort to be an extrovert, epiphanies happen about humans left and right. Answer, this is mine too. I went from happily spending every evening at home with my dogs, watching Netflix and only having a couple of friends, to joining a church group and committing to events probably 3 nights a week and having a wide circle of friends. I've found I don't stress about social situations anymore. My conversation skills have improved, and I am much more at ease when I have to spend time in a group of people. Story 171. Moved out of a shoot housing situation 1 month ago, living alone for the first time ever and loving it. Story 172. Signing up to FetLife and then going to my first munch. Before that, I was sexless, lonely, and had no social life. All of those birds were eliminated with that one stone within a year. Story 173. Bought my first Apple Watch version 4, got into competitions with coworkers' family for closing the exercise rings, currently addicted to it, and as a result, I am exercising daily even when I don't want to. I get the reminder and I instantly get in the mood. Story 174. Took a 50 pay cut to move where I'd vacation. In Colorado a few years now, have a better paying job, and couldn't be happier to have the ability to hike, camp, or ski on a whim. Story 175. Quit smoking plant substance. You can justify it all you want, but being stoned all day every day isn't good for anyone. Story 176. I transitioned. 7 months ago, I started hormone replacement therapy. I suffered for so long, and now I'm a woman. It's truly saved my life. Story 177. Finally went to a doctor after years of my wife telling me I snored loudly and sometimes gasped for breath at night. Turned out I have severe sleep apnea and wasn't getting a good night's sleep, ever. So now I use a CPAP machine and it has improved my life drastically. I wake up easier in the morning, feel well rested, and no longer have to go out to my car during my lunch hour to sneak a nap because I'm exhausted. The change has been incredible. Story 178. I stopped putting cream in my coffee. Basically, now it's caffeinated water and not a heavy drink that makes me feel like crap. Led to a series of other good health choices. And now I'm down 50 lbs in 10 months. Baby steps, people. Kidney. Story 179. Decided to portion my food intake to a smaller amount and got active. Got a full-time job, and I am working on becoming more confident. Story 180. I was working a job that I thought I loved. Well-paying, super impressive for my age, but I was continuously working 70, 80 hours a week. I was obsessed with doing it perfectly, that I didn't even notice I had spent the first year of my marriage working, like, all the time. A few weeks ago, I took another job. Maybe not as impressive, but for the first home in 3 years, I slept so well. I didn't wake up at 3 a.m. to check my email and started hanging out with my husband instead of just coexisting. Was a hard decision, but 1 month later, my body feels completely different. Now to lose the 30 pounds of stress weight I put on, story 181. Probably buried, but here goes. I started looking at the positives instead of the negative. Something didn't go as planned. What did go right? Okay, cool. What can I change to make the outcome how you want it? I'll do that next time. Or if nothing said be changed, tell myself it's out of my control. I did my best. Need honesty with myself. If I'm not giving something my best effort, I can't get upset when or doesn't go right because I didn't try my hardest. If I did give it 100 and the outcome isn't favorable, then I can take solace in the fact that I did indeed try my best. And next time will be better. Having a disabled spouse and a toddler makes things hard at times. Being positive helps me keep things together and keep things moving forward. Story 182. Started making my bed. This year, 2018, I decided that at the age of 33, I would start making my bed every morning. Not even sure why, but it feels good to walk into a clean room and a made-up bed. Story 183. Looking at the positive side and truly just trying to enjoy life. This, as well as finding solution to a major problem, has helped me beat depression without therapy or medication. It wasn't easy, and it's still a struggle some days, but I know what it's like to be happy now. Life can be a meanie, but I loved at meanie. Story 184. Bought a house. I went from paying $625 in rent for a crappy 1BR apartment in a scary neighborhood 5 miles from work to paying $600 a month for a 4BR house less than half that distance. No more dripping water from whatever animals were living in the upstairs apartments.